Howdy folks, I'm Brian, and here's some Reddit. Our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for not reaching out to a contractor who did a $3,000 job and never sent an invoice and never got paid? Before you make your mind up, I know the title sounds bad. I also expect that I'm the jerk in this situation. Help settle this for me and my wife. We recently got our floors refinished, and it was amazing how quickly they got the job done. I mean, within a week of inquiring, the contractor sent his guys out and completed the job, as he estimated, by the end of the third day. He knows that we have some other jobs to do around the house, but knew that only the urgent one was the floors getting finished. The contractor made it clear that he's super busy. My wife was the one who originally reached out to him. The contractor said that he would send us an invoice, but after 3 months, one has not been sent out. Also, we want to get other things worked on, but since he didn't follow up with us, we haven't gotten those jobs taken care of. Although I'm super impressed with the turnaround rate, part of me doesn't want to work with him due to the lack of communication, or maybe he's just too busy. I offhandedly and partially jokingly told my wife, let's just not follow up with him and see if I got a $3,000 job done for free. If he ever does follow up, of course we would pay. But alas, here we are. Wife says that's messed up. And I said, let's post it on Am I the Jerk and see what the mass population thinks. Am I the jerk? Alright, OP. I think that you need to at least make an effort to reach out to the contractor. You don't know if the invoice was lost in the mail. You don't know if there was just some kind of miscommunication. Maybe something was marked down wrong in like an address form. Any number of things could have gone wrong here, and it could just be that he had every intention of having one sent out to you, or even had one sent out to you, but it got lost. So my advice would be to reach out to him, contact him, and say, hey, we're still waiting for a invoice on this for our records, and so that we can pay. And then if he doesn't send you out an invoice, then, I mean, at that point in time, you've tried working with him, you've tried to get an invoice, but at that point in time, if he never reaches out to you again and never, asks for money, then you can't force him to send you out an invoice. So, yeah, that's kind of my opinion. I think that it's always good to pay people who have done work for you, and I think that you shouldn't be taking advantage of a situation like this. Just plain and simple. You're the jerk. If I steal from you and you don't notice, I'm still a thief. Yeah. All right. Our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for trying to get my girls interested in my hobbies and interests instead of getting into theirs? I have 2 girls, a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, with my wife of 9 years. My girls are typical girls and don't have a lot of interest in common with me. I tried from a very young age to get them interested in the things that we could do together. They just never got interested. I'm talking about things like video games, science fiction, and fantasy books, Star Wars, Iron Man, Batman, etc. These are all popular things that I see a lot of other parents getting involved with their kids. They're more interested in things that I just can't relate to. The 13-year-old is into fashion, clothes, makeup, hair, and all that, and the younger one really likes animals and JoJo. I've tried to be interested in their things. We watched this really bad, campy TV show called One Day at a Time, but I didn't like it, and I found the writing bad, and they got mad at me when I would laugh. The older one likes the show Riverdale, which I admit was a little more interesting, but it was all a bunch of gossipy teen stuff. Imagine that, gossipy teens enjoying gossipy teen stuff. I just hit a wall. I couldn't figure out why I was going through all this effort to spend time with them when they obviously don't care enough to be interested in the things that I care about either. I tried to sit down with them and watch The Mandalorian, and they didn't like it. That really hurt me. Like, really, really hurt me. I know kids aren't going to be a perfect reflection staring back at you, but I thought at least I'd be able to share some of the things I love with them. I thought we'd get to spend time together instead of being one of those fractured families with no interest in each other. I told my wife that I was sick of feeling like an outsider in my own family and that I'd like it if we could maybe do some designated time that we could do things that I'd like too. I suggested that we could all sit down and learn to play this board game that I like, Settlers of Catan. My wife told me that I needed to stop trying to force my stuff down their throat and find a balance somehow. I told her that this is the balance. I can't pretend to be interested in things like gossipy TV dramas, soap operas, etc. when that just isn't me. I'm not a teenage girl. I can't pretend to be one. All right, OP. Your teenage girls can't pretend to be you either. So here's the issue, is that you are trying to mold your daughters into you, and you can't understand why they won't be molded into you. And likewise, you're not interested in the things that they're interested in, and you don't feel like you can mold yourself into this. There's got to be some activities out there that all of you will enjoy. Surely your interests aren't so disassociated that there's nothing out there that you all can't just sit down and enjoy. Again, like, it would be nice if they tried some of the things that you like doing, and if they try it and they don't enjoy it, don't keep forcing them to do it. So if they've tried to play Settlers of Catan with you before, and they don't like it, then don't set aside a weekly game night to play a game that they don't like. Pick something else. There's lots of other card games out there, lots of other board games, and maybe they'll find some interest in one of them. And the thing is that you folks maybe need to take turns on some of the stuff that's interesting to each other. And, but, I mean, again, don't force your daughters into doing things that they don't want to do. I think that it's good that you really want to spend more time with them, but again, I think you're kind of going about this in some of the wrong ways. I think that you are really having a hard time seeing how, like, you say, this kind of summarizes it the best, I feel. I can't pretend to be interested in things like gossipy TV dramas, soap operas, and etc. What makes you think that your daughters can pretend to be interested in The Mandalorian, Star Wars, or Settlers of Catan, or any of these other things that you're interested in? It's unreasonable to expect them to pretend to be interested in things when you aren't willing to also pretend to be interested in their things. So, again, I'm not saying that you should pretend. But again, I think that there's lots of activities out there. There's a lot of things to do. There's lots of television shows. And there's surely something out there that you can all figure out and do and enjoy. I mean, what are some of the things that you and your wife enjoyed doing before you had kids? Maybe those are some places that you folks could start. But anyhow, take care and good luck. You're the Jerk. Part of being a parent is taking interest in what your kids are into, whether you like it or not. And trying to force kids to get into whatever you're interested in is pretty much never something that's going to work. You're the Jerk. They're literal kids. It's not their job to placate you into building a relationship. These are years that you connect and show interest in them, not complain that their perfectly normal and appropriate young girl interests aren't exciting for you. Why should they be interested in you when you're not interested in them? Yeah, I think a couple of these comments actually touched on a point that I didn't really cover, and that's just that as a parent, he probably needs to show more interest in their stuff, but I also think that can be some common ground too, that they can find other things that interest the whole family. All right, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Making My Son Pay for the Damage He Caused? My son is 16, and about a week ago, I asked him to help us move. He hasn't moved boxes before, so he was inexperienced, and he's naturally clumsy, but I needed someone to help me. While we were moving, He was really apathetic to the whole situation and accidentally dropped a ton of boxes, some of which had some pretty valuable things in it, and he banged the furniture into the walls. When we were almost done moving, he knocked the handle off the fridge by bumping a box into it. We started unpacking some of the stuff today, and a lot of very valuable things were damaged by his negligence. Altogether, he cost us hundreds of dollars. $600 is a conservative estimate. I told him that until he manages to get enough money to make things right, he could not spend his money on anything. He was sorry at first, but after I said that, he yelled at me. I offered to pay half of it, and he would only have to pay around $300 to $500 instead. But he told me to go away instead, so I rescinded the offer. Am I the jerk? Edit. I offered him $10 a day for a total of $50, and he chose to do it and not take it seriously. Alright, OP. I know you paid your son, and you paid him a total of $50 to basically move stuff, but your son isn't a professional mover, and you were taking a risk by having him move stuff. Things just sometimes get broken. Now, I mean, when I was a kid, we helped our parents move several times, actually. I helped my family move several times. And we were all very careful with moving stuff. But I guess, again, we probably didn't have a whole lot in the way of stuff that was super valuable for moving. So, I guess, like, you kind of have to expect that if you're asking a child to help you move, even if you're paying them, that they may break some stuff, and that they're not professionals. They don't have insurance to cover damage and things like that. So while your son probably needed to be a little less apathetic and not drop and break stuff, maybe you should have considered packing things a little better in order to prevent him from breaking things if he drops stuff. I don't know how you drop boxes that many times, to be quite honest, though. So, I don't know. I do think that you're a jerk here slightly, but I also think your son is a jerk too for doing a bad job at moving and breaking things. So, I don't necessarily think that the fault is squarely on your shoulders here, but I think that you should have realized that your son was going to had the potential to break things. And I do understand, like, why you would want to have him pay to have things, restored. But again, that's why there are movers. So if if something breaks, then you can have renter insurance that can cover some of that breakage. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think you should be trying to charge him here, but also I think it's kind of bad that he dropped a bunch of boxes and broke a bunch of valuable things. So yeah, you're the jerk. You asked your clumsy, inexperienced son to help you move, and now you're punishing him for being clumsy and inexperienced. Next time, ask a sure-footed adult or hire a professional. He's bad, too, for having what sounds like a very exhausting attitude problem, but you're the adult. Yeah. Also, OP is just assuming that all the damage is his. You looked at all the damaged goods at the end and assumed that all the damage is his. Things get damaged just in transport if they aren't packed properly. It's unfair to assume all the damage is his. You paid him peanuts for a massive amount of work. My parents also did this. I was forced to work 15 to 35 hours every single week in their shop for $40. I never got any thank yous or anything. You seriously gave your son a bill for $600 after he helped you out. I don't talk to my parents anymore, and I'm guessing he may do just the same when he's an adult. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. If you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.